What's up, guys? Welcome to the Comfort Zone podcast. I'm Brandon.
I'm Dalton.
Today we are diving into a great conversation with one of my old business partners and Dalton's old boss, Pablo Chinchilla. He is now one of the owners of Blue Marlin Property Investments. He came on today with us, and we covered about 10 years worth of stuff and tried to condense it into an hour and a half. So it's jam-packed with a lot of good stuff, a lot of good advice, a lot of good stories. Had a great time with him on. It was fun to do. I really enjoyed that one.
It's been a while since all three of us were in the same room.
Yeah.
We've seen each other, but not all in the same spot. So definitely some old conversations. I don't know how much of it's going to be edited out. Some old arguments were in there.
Yeah, some good stuff.
Pablo he's a great dude. If you want to hear a story of scaling something quickly and doing the work yourself and not really knowing what to do, but diving in head first without, really just a whole lot of knowledge of how things operate, and then figuring it out as you go and turning it into something, 5 years, 6 years later, they're doing 30 flips a year, have hundreds of doors of rentals. So scaling it very quickly, 5 years is not a long time to scale to the level that they are. So,
and much respect for just that aspect of it. And we talk a little bit more in the podcast about how this isn't just his first time of doing it with a business. He's done it with multiple businesses.
Yeah.
And he's not even from the States. He came here from Costa Rica, which is talked about. So very, very good podcast. Like I said, I wish we would have been able to break it down into about 5.
Yeah.
Because we tried to cover so much space because we've known each other and done so much together.
Yeah.
But it was a good one, and y'all tune in because there's a lot of nuggets in there. He gives a lot of good advice and has a lot of good stories. So
yeah. And definitely somebody we could have returning to dive deep into some of the things we talked about, and honestly just have a full podcast on one of those topics, because we could probably make a series of just the years that we worked together and all the ins and outs, and because there was failures within that business, within the ETX Owner Pair that me and Brandon own together now. There were avenues of that business back when they were partners that were really successful, which kept it going to today, and there were some that didn't work out, and which was nice for me because they figured a lot of it out before I came as a partner. I came into a successful business as a partner. They got to start it from nothing, and I think overall opened up 4 different locations to find the right area, the right niche for the business. So a lot of great stories there. So y'all stay tuned in and check that out with us.
Right on. Stay comfortable being uncomfortable. Love you guys. What's up, guys? Welcome to the Comfort Zone. We got episode 3 here. It's a good day. We're going back in time here with the 3 of us. I got Dalton here.
What's up, guys?
And our guest, Pablo Chinchilla.
How's it going, guys?
My old business partner.
That's right, man. How are you,
We're
man?
back together, man. The trio.
Yeah.
The old school trio. I love it.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I think it's funny that, Pablo was super fat back when they hired me, and now he's all fit, and he likes to flex at me every time he says hi, but,
Oh.
Yeah.
Gun show.
Don't show you.
Yeah, how often do you work out now?
I work out 4 days a week, but
do you just do your biceps because that's the only one you care about, or do you do a full body?
I think just just shoulders and and chest. Every day's a chest day.
I say the legs aren't on camera, but
they're white, but they're good.
Some little chicken legs.
I know. I like to. I like to work out. I enjoy it. I don't. My eating habits are not the way it should be, but I enjoy working out.
Well, I mean, you know how Brandon eats. It's crazy that he's not 400 pounds. I mean,
getting close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's blessed with a high metabolism.
Yes.
Amen. Thank you.
Yeah, because that dude, he eats.
He can eat.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
So we got Pablo is one of the owners of Blue Marlin
Investment Properties. Mm-hmm.
And now we're getting into some of the investing and stuff and flips, and he's been a help to us. But I want to go back in time to little Pablo in Costa Rica before he came to America, and just walk us through. It's been a while for me, so I'm sure everybody else will be intrigued. What got you over here to the States?
Okay, I'll make it really quick so we can get into the good stuff, the business part, which I know that's what everybody wants to hear. But basically, I grew up very poor in Costa Rica, and all my sisters, everybody went to school, and we all kind of worked really, really hard. But when I was right after high school, I moved out of the house, and in 2006, there's this girl from Texas. They came to my house, my parents' house, as an exchange student to learn Spanish. And I was not living in the home at that time, so my dad called me, and he was like, "Pablo, we need help. There's a student from Texas. She's crying a lot. We don't know English. She doesn't know Spanish. We need some help." And I was working in the hotel industry in Costa Rica, so I knew enough English to have a conversation. So I just asked the right questions, like, "Is she pretty?" And my dad said yes. So I went back, and 16 years later, and 3 kids, that's my wife. Yeah. That's how we met in Costa Rica. There was a long process, and yeah, we've been married for 16 years.
That's awesome.
And 3 beautiful girls.
Oh, that's awesome.
I love it. Shout out to Krista. She's a
Yeah,
good one.
she's awesome.
She's a good one.
Yeah. We always joke about that. I was like, man, when I met her, she's from DeKalb, Texas. I was like, is all the guys in DeKalb gay? How in the world are you single? I mean, for real, how these beautiful girls can come to Costa Rica single? And I couldn't get it, but I'm the one that married her. So
It worked out.
It worked out pretty
plan.
good.
Everything worked out.
Yes, that
good.
has a plan, 100%.
So so you get over here, and that, I know you went to back and forth to different places here in the States.
Yes.
When you got here, I believe you started working at the golf course, right?
Yes, because that was my background. I worked in Costa Rica in the golf industry. Working at the golf shop. We work on the golf department. We help with the golf classes and instructions and all that stuff. But the money is not very good in this area.
Yeah.
So it's not like if you go to Florida, if you get in the right place, maybe join like a golf academy, you can be. There's money, but not in this part of Texas. So I told my wife, I'm stepping out of the hotels and golf, and I need to find a skill because I don't know what to do. So I became a dish network technician for a company in Texarkana when Dish Network and DirecTV was big. This is before Netflix and Amazon. Everybody has satellite TV in the house. So I became a technician for that.
How long were you because you came in as a technician, but even then, like, kind of that entrepreneurial mindset, you went from a technician to a point being an authorized dealer for both DirecTV and Dish and starting a whole satellite business around that. How long were you in that industry before you kind of blended into that?
I was a full-time technician for 5 years. I worked 6 days a week, summers when there was like 120 degrees, 170 in the attics, and I did it for 5 years straight. One day, I was driving in Clarksville, Texas, and I just felt like, basically, God was saying to me, "It's time. You need to work for yourself." So I started researching how to apply for a dealership to Dish Network, DirecTV, and I started filling out the paperwork. I didn't know if I was going to get it, because there's a lot of paperwork.
Yeah.
And then finally, I got accepted. So I just left my job, and I was a dealer with no customer base, so I have to go and knock doors to get my sales. As a technician, they give you 5-6 jobs a day. Go do it. As a retailer, go find your jobs.
Yeah.
There's no pipeline.
No,
to
there's
start
nothing.
with.
So I just basically started knocking doors, finding my jobs. And
Yeah.
that day, I became basically a self-entrepreneur.
And there was so this is something I didn't know either. There was no form of like CRM or like lead generation
Nothing.
online that was
No,
supported
no.
from either one of them.
This is before social media, right before
Yeah.
social media.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it was difficult.
It was there. Facebook was there because I was working all over
Yes.
the place too,
Mhm.
and we met through a mutual friend.
Mm-hmm.
And I had actually worked for DirecTV for
Yes.
about a year or so as a contractor, and they plugged us together. And I worked for Pablo, and we
Yes.
did houses together. And
Mhm.
I met him in DeKalb for the first time on a job, and we hit it off good
Yes.
from the beginning. And I mentioned this in our first podcast with Dalton, was our age difference, along with your you being an entrepreneur already, kind of gave me the green light to go ahead and do it and get a little confidence to have
Mhm.
someone that had been there. And that's kind of like Dalton with me.
Yes.
It
Yes.
kind of just trickled down.
Yeah,
So
it's funny how it worked out. Yes.
the circle, how we ended up being together. And then we were riding around one day, and Pablo says, "Hey, you ever fixed a cell phone before?" No. I was like, used one before. He's like, "I think we should start doing that, you know." And we had a buddy from DCAB that had dabbled in it a little bit, and I think we fixed the first one together with
in my house.
Yeah, and then we did one at McDonald's.
Yes.
And even at that point, I was like, "This is not a good idea."
And those are iPhone 4s.
Yeah.
iPhone 4.
So,
yes.
so like for you guys that don't know in the cell phone industry, like now it's like, you know, there's still difficulty to it. You know, you still need to know what you're doing, but it's you move the screen. There's a few plates to move.
Yeah.
Back then, because that's what y'all made me train on. Even though we did a few back then by the time I was working with y'all, but it wasn't like a common phone that came in. But that's what we used to train with, because you had to pull everything, motherboard,
Yes.
the whole frame had to come apart, front plate, back plate. So I can't imagine, you know, me, because not to toot my own horn, I'm a pretty good technician with it now, right, from being trained from you guys, but I can't imagine taking apart an iPhone 4 and going, oh yeah, we're going to do a business with this. Like a newer age phone, sure, because like I will say this, Apple, y'all's engineers got a lot better with designs.
Yes.
Because originally
I agree.
it was crap. It was nowhere close to what it is today. So I think I've always thought about that as like, that's crazy that they did one and said, yeah, we're going to make a
let's do
business,
this.
because it is not a
But quality, the iPhone 4 and 4S, man. Even when I left the business,
Yeah.
I left right before the first iPhone X. I didn't fix any of those. I left right on iPhone 8, right?
Yeah.
But there was still people with iPhone 4s and 4S. I mean, they still work.
yeah.
We still have.
The
We-
quality,
every
man.
once in a while
Yes,
we'll
the
get one.
frame, that thing
Yeah.
just,
You
they
couldn't-
built it really good.
You couldn't break them. Like
No.
we did a lot more back glasses,
Yes.
and batteries, and
But they were good.
Every now
cell
and
phones.
Which they've actually gone back to some of those designs
Yeah.
on the 15th. It's different, you know, it's more modernized, but not just with the inlaid screen. It is like it's not a back glass that's just glued. It's a screwed in. There's a back plate. So like, you know, it's crazy how technology is advancing, but they're obviously, like if you tear apart a phone now, like if you were to do a 15, you would go, oh man, this reminds me of a 4.
Yeah.
You know, there's so much that, like, even though it's progressing, they're learning from past, you know, not mistakes, but like they're saying, hey, this worked really well back in 2008.
Yeah.
Why are we not doing it anymore? You know, so they've brought old technology into the new age and stuff. So I think it's cool to look at your past and see, look,
Yeah.
a big company like Apple is looking at their past and what helped them succeed in the beginning,
Oh, yeah.
and they're applying that to new designs now. You know, so I think that's important too. And I think kind of going back to yours, like you were hotel and golf, so you're involved with people. So
Yeah.
like your whole thing, it's not, I don't know how much sales is in that, but you're constantly involved.
Customer service is
Yeah.
basically customer
So
service.
like, you know, we just had a conversation with JT on episode 3 of like, if there's somebody that's coming out of high school and they don't know what they want to do, my opinion is if you don't really know your career path, you're not sure if college is for you, I think you should go get a sales job, or some form of customer service sales job. I think that builds a foundation for so much, whether it is going into any field of retail, working for yourself, learning the tools to build relationships and network with people in that environment. I think is the most important skill you can learn as somebody that's going into business. And I think you can attest to that
Yes.
with how you grew up in your work life.
Yes.
Yeah. But okay, so where were we at in your
so
story?
we'll skip through, kind of skim it to get to, you know, me and Pablo both kind of stepped out of our comfort zone massively to start the cell phone repair, because we had no skill, no experience, and really no money at the time.
A lot of challenges, yes.
And, you know, even at that time, me and Pablo were working out of his van or my truck, and we didn't have an office space. We'd meet at your house.
So we're doing satellite sales, installations, and cell phone repair.
Yeah, and then it was like, hey, now it's time to get a storefront.
Mhm.
We're there now, and we actually got Kyle to give us that space. He really didn't want to give it up because he had a bunch of file cabinets. in
New
there.
Boston, Texas.
Yeah, so they moved them all out. and
New
gave us
Boston
our-
was y'all's first?
Yeah.
First one,
Okay,
yeah.
so it wasn't Atlanta, it was New Boston
New
that was y'all's
Boston.
first.
And
Okay.
so that's where that kind of took off. The satellite was doing good. The cell phone repair we were learning. We still weren't really there profit wise, but I think the moment it changed was when we pursued Atlanta. we saw there was something there,
Yes.
but we needed a bigger town.
Yes.
Mount Pleasant opened up. We ended up having shutting down Atlanta just because the population wasn't there. New Boston, we sold and took everything, and at that time we actually had a silent investor to help us kind of get Mount Pleasant going. Opened it up, had a couple employees, and then here comes Dalton.
Well,
We got-
before we get into that, how long were y'all in Mount Pleasant before I came in? Because like I remember,
Yeah.
I remember when y'all's first We Fix phones came by, and I remember driving by. I didn't know y'all anything like that. I was like, oh, cool, we have a cell phone repair shop here. You know what I mean?
We're
But I didn't have a broken phone, so I never had a reason to go in and
Yeah.
and do it.
You in high
But
school or right after high school?
right after high school.
I was 19, so it was about a year.
What year is this? It's like
20,
This would've been,
13,
20,
13,
no,
14.
It was 20, because we opened in 2014.
So it'd have been 2014.
Yeah.
So I was
You
19,
weren't
20.
far. You were like,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I said, we had, I think, 2 employees
Yeah.
that didn't last long,
Yeah.
and then it was you. So it
Yeah.
was within a year or less
Yeah,
from us being here.
I remember that.
And that was after kind of learning some
Yeah.
things. And Atlanta, we didn't do cell phone repair. It was only satellite only.
Yes.
And that was only because we weren't comfortable fixing phones. I think if we were actually comfortable, we probably would have done pretty well in Atlanta. And so, you got to try,
Yeah.
you got to fail, and you have to learn. And we did that pretty well.
Well, I think this is a good part to slow down the story.
Yeah.
Is when all three of us first met.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
so I think what was funny is I do think you guys both had different ideas of how to use me, right, or how to use an employee. Because like sometimes it was construction stuff. It was like I need this built, like nothing to do with cell phone repair.
Yep.
Because it was fairly new to that office. So like we were building, it had several different rooms. So we were building different workstations, an iPad room.
Yeah.
You guys were utilizing me. It's like, hey, kind of like we do the same thing. We tell Heath, Cole, any of our employees, you don't work for ETX Phone Repair. You don't work for 88 Elite. Like you work for Dalton and Brandon. If there's something we need edited here, like you're hourly, like you're getting paid to work for us.
Yes.
If there's something we can delegate to you or use you at, or if you have an asset that we can use towards a certain thing, like that's what you work for. And that's kind of how y'all used me. Is like it was a little bit of everything. I was kind of in music a little bit at that time, so like they're like, hey, I want you doing Facebook, Instagram. I want you on using that on the marketing side, which was great for me because it was a great learning experience of like, hey, how do I get people interested? And y'all had that phone boy feel. Yeah, y'all had
We
me.
did that, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
y'all had me out dancing.
Still have it?
Yeah, I was out there dancing on the street in phone boy Phil costume. So I mean, I pretty much was like $12 an hour at that time was the most money I've ever made, and I'm
That's
like,
right.
I'll do whatever you say. Yeah, I'll get in that suit. And I think it was really cool because I don't know how much y'all were talking about this or in the works with this when y'all hired me, but talking about businesses that had potential that maybe didn't turn out what we expected was the wholesale site, right? So like I remember all that being launched where we really thought, like y'all thought it, y'all were preaching it to us, like we thought, hey, this is the next level. This is a big thing. And I think supplier was a big problem. I think they lied a little bit on some of their stuff.
I think we would have been a lot more successful because we were under the assumption that there was a better warranty than it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It ended up costing us in the end when we started getting all these
Right,
RMAs. But that's
That
part
was a
of
great learning experience. Yeah.
Yeah, we would.
Because I remember y'all sent me out to deliver and go talk to, like I would drive and go to different cell phone repair shops and kind of have that first experience of outside sales to get them to use us and use our parts and us deliver to them. Because I think you said it is like we have competition locally, like Brandon and these guys that are fixing phones locally. He's like, do we try to root them out or do we try to supply their parts? So if they're gonna get outside repairs from other than our shop, at least we supplied the parts and made something on it, right? That was the whole idea behind it, was to try to control that market. And I think there was something there. I mean, I really do.
Oh, yeah.
It's just wrong supplier, wrong time, and I think that kind of goes into the partnership side. That's not really a partnership on like, hey, we're business partners, but you're partnering with another company, you're partnering with another vendor, and those don't always go as planned.
Yeah.
The things that didn't work out for me on the wholesale are the best learning experience that I apply in the business today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you learn more from your failures than
Yeah.
your success. So I mean, it was a great school for me.
Yeah.
And and now we talk about that, like selling our cell phone parts to different shops, right? Well, that's exactly what I do right now in the real estate business. You know, you get to use, and I don't see the other guys that flip houses as a competition.
Mm-hmm.
We all in this together, and anything that we can do to help each other is good for us, because at the end of the day, when you lock a deal, that's your deal. You're gonna make money regardless, you know, if you know how to do it. So if I can help you in any way, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
Because at some point I'm gonna need help, maybe from you, and I know you return the favor. And
Yeah.
that's how what I learned from that, using all this. We didn't see competition. We have a great relationship with every cell phone repair shop.
Yep.
And until this day,
Yeah.
if I see Morgan, if I see the guy from, I mean, we have,
Scott or
never had any issues with it.
I've walked into Spa City Repair before.
Yes.
Just to say hi. You know, if I'm down there on
Miguel.
vacation, Miguel.
Shout out
So
to Miguel.
yeah. So
That's
I mean,
what I'm saying.
and that's 3 hours away in a different state.
Yeah.
I mean, so we built relationships with that, and I think that's important too.
Yeah.
Is
I'll say that's the only, in my opinion, the only reason we survived. When the whole craze blew up, we were already in business.
Yeah.
But when China, started messing around with the parts and they went on strike or whatever happened over there, I
Yes.
can't remember, we had to get into refurbs.
Yes.
And if we wouldn't have done that if it wasn't, hey, heads up, this is coming.
Yeah.
I'm already in it. I think it was Morgan who was like, hey, y'all need to get into refurb or you're not going to make it.
Yes.
Prices are about to shoot up. And it's not even going to be worth fixing the phone. And so us being able to fix the 5s and the 6 series
Mhm.
and have our own parts separated us from everybody else that
Mhm.
didn't make it. And they were closing left and right
Yeah.
at that time, and we were still growing.
Mm-hmm.
but
And
even
that's-
selling refurb too, like those guys would come
Yeah.
by once a month. They'd
Yeah.
buy broken screens, all that stuff. They're the first ones to do that. Like now, you can just ship it off.
Yeah.
Like the same suppliers that we buy from, they'll send us a label and we send stuff for them to refurb and do stuff like that. Now
It's
a
easy
lot
now,
simpler. But back then, you just have some African dude knock on your door one day, say, "Hey, I got cash. I want to see all your broken screens. I want to see all your stuff." And
Come on in, buddy.
it was Christmas every time they came because it was cash.
We went from, we don't know anything about iPhones to build our own screens in like 4 years.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me.
Yeah.
I mean, we learned so much about business, and we went all in. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, and I think that's too. So like when y'all trained me on refurb, Heath doesn't see it as much because he, Cole was there a little later than me, but he never did refurb that I know.
Did refurb, yeah.
So for me, when you hire an employee, you expect losses. I mean, one is operational costs because they're not worth what you're paying them. You're training them to get there, but they're not worth what you're paying them. And like for me, I cost y'all a ton of money learning refurb. Like you're going to.
I still remember. Don't
Yeah, yeah. Well,
yeah.
yeah, but like he's
Let's not open that door.
he's first.
Refurb was hard, though.
Yeah, refurb is. I was better at refurb than you by a month then.
I was
Okay,
never good. I got that. I was not good.
I was refurb, but I mean to this day. To this day, though, like, there's certain parts in cell phone repair that, for whatever reason, you can't explain. Like some of it's practice, but you can't explain why somebody's better at. Like iPads. Like I'll never be as good or as like with iPads as you. Like the way you have the way with them. But I'm pretty good at back glass. It's like you're gonna have different things that and back glass sucks way more than iPads. Just so you know, back glass
It's not a
repairs-
good thing to be good
No,
at.
it's not something you want to be good at because then you feel like you're the one that has to do it, and it sucks.
It's tedious.
But which they're getting better with the new design. But with the refurb though and costing money, we haven't got into the realm of with the flip of like a contractor costing us money, a sub out costing us money.
Yep.
That was at our fault. So like the unexpected cost that we had was with electricians and plumbers, and it was because there were bigger jobs than we anticipated. But it wasn't anything that anybody was doing wrong or anything like that. But have you had experiences where you're like losing money and it wasn't something that was on you? It was-
100%.
yeah.
Yes. Especially in real estate.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You just never know. Yeah. It's always going to happen. More material, if you have employees, more time. Last year, I think we did 30 flips, something like that, right under 30 flips. And we lost money in one job. That we didn't use our people, we used a contractor. We lost money because the market changed.
Yeah.
And it just happened, right?
Yeah.
But in every job, we made money, but we went over budget.
Yeah.
Always, every job, we always go over budget. So it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So the number rule in real estate, you make your money when you buy. You have to buy cheap enough that if you say, I'm gonna put 30 in this house, that you can put 45 and still make money.
Yeah.
That's the rule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we always, that's our number one goal. If it's not cheap enough, we're not buying it. Because we know either we're gonna kill and make it great money, or we're gonna make good money, or we're just gonna make money.
Yeah.
But we're not gonna lose money, because it's when you buy. You have to buy it good enough. Don't trust, sounds kinda bad, don't trust the contractor, no, don't trust your gut. That you're gonna be able to fix this house for 20,000, because it's gonna go 30.
Yeah.
Every time.
Numbers don't lie. Yeah, you got
Every time, man. Yeah. You just never know.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. So where were we at? So I'm working for you guys.
Yep.
Y'all were fat. I was fit at the time.
I was.
You were young. Yeah. That's
I was young. Yeah, that's what it was.
You had a good metabolism.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then y'all started taking me to buffets because that's all you ate.
Yeah, we ate so bad.
Sisters Bistro.
I hate
Awesome,
Sisters
man.
so much. I'm sorry if anybody loves Sisters here
I
in Mount
do.
Pleasant. It's fine. It's a good. It's not that it's bad. I hated it because how often you wanted to eat there.
Yeah, I love it.
But the thing is like
I'm getting hungry thinking about it.
I'm a
We're gonna
broke.
go after here, just so you know.
I'm a broke 20-year-old, and my bosses are paying for my food. I'm not gonna complain.
No.
I'm gonna go eat
Eat
where they
that
say. But we ate it so much that I honestly don't think I've spent money there again since I stopped working for y'all.
We did, yeah.
Yeah, I just can't eat there anymore. I've been there, like with my dad or my uncle. They want to go, and I'm like, I'm not eating. I'll go visit with you. I haven't eaten it. I can't do it. But so I blame y'all for being fat today. Just so y'all know, so it's 100% y'all's fault. My bad eating habits, my bad metabolism's on y'all. But okay, so I guess let's kind of go into everything was going well at the cell phone repair shop to the point to where y'all were wanting to open up another one. Y'all want to expand, and then we go to Sulphur Springs.
Yeah.
How long were we there before we brought in Jonathan?
About 4 or 5 months, maybe.
I don't remember really.
Yeah.
It was still.
It was good location.
Still fairly new.
It was a good location. It did really good. But yeah, I mean, we find down the road a good guy. He was really good,
Yeah.
and it worked out pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it was good business.
That one was one of those things where you're not going to know unless you try and you find out things, and so distance has a lot to do with stuff.
And I would say for people that are watching this, that you don't want to make, okay, you have your failures, you're going to be successful, and you're going to have time where you just fail. There's different type of business. A cell phone repair shop is not really retail, even if you sell stuff,
Yeah.
because it's so hard to trust your business with someone that can make a mistake that will cost you $1,500.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is not like Best Buy. You can hire a couple kids and run it. So I guess when people hear us talking about it's a cell phone repair shop, it's almost like a different category, because once you're good at it, it took you so many years to learn that skill that you're not going to be able to pass it to someone in 2-3 weeks.
No. It takes,
And the worst part is, even if you try to sign a non-disclosure, you can still, in your mind, know that you might be training your competition in the future. So that's the way it is in business. It is what it is. So that's the problem. To me, maybe that was a sign for me to do something. That was my next step, because it was so hard to grow something. Both having big families, a full-time schedule. We got games, we got this. And I was like, man, Sulphur Springs is a good location. And we found Jonathan, but even we knew that he was not going to stay with us forever.
right. Yeah, he was
So-
a smart kid, and I knew he would.
What would have happened? And now I got to drive from DeKalb to Sulphur Springs, an hour 20 minutes. So that's the thing about this business that you guys have been running so good, and Mount Pleasant, it has a good name. It's like it's a different type of business. You really, it's not your regular retail. It's something that it takes a lot of work, and just to have someone you can trust to run it, I mean, it's a lot. So it's different than anything else to me.
Which I don't know if I've said this on camera. I may have, before or not. I can't remember if I said this in the earlier podcast, but looking into like the numbers nationwide with cell phone repair shops, like we're in the top 5% of like grossing. And little, I mean, Mount Pleasant's not small, but it's a lot smaller.
Yeah.
And I think a big part of that is we're big enough to where we're small enough to where we have a tremendous amount of repeat customers and we
Yes.
take care of people, but we're big enough to where the other little bit of competition hasn't been a problem.
Yeah.
You know, there's not a big enough competition thing, and nothing. I don't like to diss anybody, but like the cell phone repair shops that are out there in this area, most of the time they're a one-time customer stop shop because they usually come to us after because of their
Yeah.
experience. You know,
Yeah.
so you know we've been, y'all did a great job building the relationships in this community to where when I stepped in a year ago, and even when you were doing it by yourself, Cole does great. He's
yeah.
starting to do a good job. That like the people of this community that have used us, you know, they continue to use us.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say 65% of the customers are repeat customers, you know, which is great. I tell people all the time, it's like, well, maybe I won't break it this time. I was like, please do, you know, break it again.
When I was in the business, there were shops everywhere, from
Yeah.
Tyler,
Everywhere.
Longview. I mean, you see only the good ones survive,
Yeah.
and you're not going to see more competition
Yeah,
because
because-
people are now scared. Like
Yeah.
with AT&T, that you pay your warranty now. There's definitely a business on this because you want your funds fixed now. But you have to be good at it.
Yeah.
I don't believe you can start one today.
No, I
You
think
know what I
we're
mean?
hard.
Not without
yeah.
any knowledge or
Yeah.
having been in
Now,
it.
opening new, expanding
way.
your business,
Like
sure.
we did.
Yeah.
Like, hey, let's go open this phone. Oh,
No.
let's try that.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
too many phones.
Yeah. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I just don't see it being plausible.
We'll just go back to the numbers and look. Me and Pablo we started, there was iPhone 3, the 4s were out, the 5s were coming out.
Yes.
They weren't even out yet. So there was 2 iPhones, and there was, you had the S3, S4, S5.
Yes. The Samsung.
And,
Yep.
And I think maybe the Note was out.
Yes.
That was it.
Oh,
And so
my
like,
goodness.
and I remember being like, golly, there's like 9 phones out there. Like, how am I
Yes.
gonna learn all of these?
And that was before frame
Yes.
replacements. It was
that.
all
There was like
screen
2
only.
iPads
Yeah.
out. I mean, it was so simple, but it seemed like so much. And
Yes.
we only had to. We got a loan from Anthony Paco helped us out
Guarantee Bank, yeah.
for $10,000, and we opened the store. We painted. We got signage. We got stickers. We got the all the tools and the supplies we needed for less than $10,000.
Yes.
You couldn't even. I mean, you couldn't even buy a sign for
No.
that now.
We did flooring. Y'all did everything. Y'all did
Yeah,
renew paint,
everything.
flooring, because not only did you open the business, me and you went and laid all that floor.
I'm not even talking about that was in Silver Springs too.
Yeah.
I'm talking about New Boston.
Oh, yeah.
The very first
So
one.
both of
Yeah.
them we spent less than $10,000 to open back then. You can't do that now.
No, I mean, if you want to run it out of your car, a van,
Yeah,
if you
maybe.
already own the van, you can maybe spend 10 to 15.
Yeah, it's
And do it.
crazy
Yeah.
the way it is with the amount of phones and what you would have to have, because people ain't gonna go without their phone. If you don't
Yeah.
have the part,
Yes.
it's hard to not
Yeah.
kind of lose the business.
Well, and I think too, like this is an industry too, and I think you can pretty much put this with most things, is you have to have, with them being so many different phones, like now there's not just the S series,
Oh.
there's 1,000 different S series and 1,000 parts to go to each S series, and then A series,
Yep.
and then you got each iPhone, and then the Pro iPhones are different. So people are like, well, how do you know? It's like, because of the time put in to have the basic understanding of how it operates, just like a vehicle mechanic.
Right.
You have a basic understanding of an engine or a transmission, even though things change, like you can adapt
It
to
doesn't
it.
change enough to where
Yeah.
you're not gonna be.
But jumping
Yeah.
straight in,
Yeah.
after it's all there is
No
is
way.
yeah,
Mhm.
it's a lot.
But yeah, that I want to go back to another time too, because this was the thing where me and Pablo both were not scared to fail.
Mhm.
We were gonna try anything,
Yeah.
and we learned a lot of stuff. And I still, even after learning those lessons, I still made the same mistakes.
Yes.
But we went to Michigan.
Oh, dude. Yeah, I remember that.
We drove
talking about the
all way-
trampolines?
all the way
Oh
to
my
Michigan
gosh.
and bought those kept the 4-section
Dude,
circle
I learned
trampolines.
so much from
Because
that.
because Pablo went to a mall in Dallas and saw
And I
one
saw that,
and
yeah.
spent money on it and was like, gotta have one. And I will say, that's what Pablo said, when he goes all in, he goes all in somewhere. Like we had talked to the mall we were gonna set it up in Texarkana, right in the middle of the mall where Santa is. They were gonna let us rent that spot out, and we drove to Michigan, picked this thing up. This guy had a yard about the size of a parking space
Yes.
at Walmart, and he's trying to show us.
So we drove 16 hours.
Yeah,
16 hours.
We slept for like
Oh.
7 hours in the. We got a hotel room and slept, and then drove, and then came all the way
We
back.
slept in the car. We didn't.
Yeah, well, on the way back, we didn't get a hotel.
No, we didn't. Yeah.
We didn't want to park that thing.
Yes.
We had stuff all in my truck,
Oh my goodness.
and we didn't even really know how to set this thing up.
Yes.
We bring it, set it up for some of the kids that were having the
At the
thing at
church,
the
yeah.
church. Set it up. After that day, we were like, we're putting this thing up for sale. This is
And
it.
also, the mall kind of changed the rules a little bit. They require like a higher insurance. So basically, while we thought it was a great idea, really fast the doors just started closing,
Yeah.
and you have to be just humble enough to say, "Man, I failed.
It was
Let's
gonna
move
be-
on."
yeah,
I
it
mean,
was
that's.
gonna be a little more expensive for us.
I
to
remember I
run
told
it.
my wife, "You know what? We went to Michigan. We're just hoping that we can sell it
break even.
and break even." And I'm glad that we did it. It was a good
Yeah.
experience. But yes, did I fail? 100%. That's okay.
That's okay, and we learned,
That's
because
fine.
that's one of those things
It
I
was
talked
good.
about in the first episode.
I was working for y'all with that.
Yeah,
that whole
Yes.
deal.
It was like, don't if you're in a position where you maybe have some extra money, or you're looking for another source of income because you already have one, make sure you're not buying a job, because most of
Exactly.
the time you don't have the time that you think you do,
Yeah.
and it's not going to work out. So just
Coming
plan
from the
for that.
guy that also bought $15,000 worth of massage chairs with me, and then also bought a $3,000
Exactly.
360 camera. After that experience, was still like, I'll buy these.
That's in episode 1 if you want to.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
We'll listen to that.
Yeah, he ain't changed.
No, wait. There's a statement that everybody says that time equals money. That is the biggest lie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
This is the biggest lie when you jump and stuff like that. Time, it's a million times more valuable than money.
yeah,
So never do something thinking or don't have the mentality that time equals money. No, time has more value than money.
Yeah.
So when you make your decisions, you have to put time right here and money right here.
I'm gonna check.
And if it works out, if it works out,
Again, a little bit. You're coming out of frame. No,
So-
just closer to Bob. The Brandon.
so
There you go.
So yeah, so if you're gonna make a business decision, think about time here and money here.
Yeah,
Never make an equal,
Right.
because that's the biggest mistake. And I think some of the decisions we made, it was in our mind that we were gonna be able to do that.
Right.
Have something on the side that it was gonna make us more money, but it was a mistake, and that's okay.
Hey,
Yeah.
It happens.
It's fun to talk about now.
Yeah,
yeah.
I love it.
But it's not that they're bad ideas. They're just not great ideas for you sometimes.
Yes.
You know, like same thing with the 360 camera. It's not a bad idea with the right marketing behind it, and
Yeah.
you know, like you said, a Landon, he starts going to get insurance. Summers,
It'd
you
be
know,
easy
that's
money
wedding
for a
season.
kid.
Yeah,
He gets his driver's license in a year or two.
Mhm.
I mean, that's something that definitely is a great idea. Just like bounce houses, it can be a small thing, and then
Yes.
Josh has
Yeah.
a huge thing. I mean, he's renting out for events with Liver King. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
you never know what something can grow into. It's
just
just
all the Christmas lights was a good business.
Yeah.
yeah,
You guys are really successful,
It's
really
good,
good business.
yeah.
Yeah.
You never know.
So I mean, yeah, that was you guys just wanted to be able to like pay for your Christmas presents for your kids. That was
it,
the
yeah, just,
extent.
hey, let's make a couple grand maybe
Yeah,
to help with Christmas time. December's crazy, and now it's a full-time job. 5 years later, that's
Company.
who knew? Yeah, that's one of those things.
That's
that was
amazing.
Yeah.
Love
Like,
it.
you have no idea, and those ones you think, oh, that's a home run. I'm about to kill this.
Yes.
They don't work out.
Yeah.
But the ones you're like, I don't know,
Yeah.
who cares, whatever. Let's try it. Those are the ones that do good.
yeah,
In
Yeah.
my experience.
100%.
yeah.
But yeah, I've always respected Pablo's willingness to put everything out there and go all in, and we've done a lot of cool things together, and now I'm getting to see him do a lot of things on his own and with his new company, and that's it. Like we talked about with JT, there's plenty for all of us to win.
Oh,
And I
man.
want to see everybody win.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like it's awesome to see everybody being successful and doing good things, and especially when we used to be together, and now we're back into the same industry. Which I will say, Pablo actually had me me and him went and did a lot of things in real estate together when it came to learning and getting the knowledge of it. And I could just see I wasn't really there yet.
Yes,
Pablo
that's
was.
fine.
He was there, and he tried to bring me along, and I ended up going a different route, and that was my biggest failure so far, was me taking on the 18-wheeler thing. And so,
Yes.
that was,
But that's fine. I mean,
it humbles you and it gets you back to ground. Now we're here. Has it been almost 5 years? And now I'm pursuing what you
Mhm.
want, which worked out for me because Pablo has a lot more knowledge in it that I didn't have to.
Mhm.
I didn't have to deal with. So
Yeah.
he can help me
Yeah.
make some
Right,
shortcuts.
and for me, two things, obviously prayer, ask God for direction. So I knew there was a change for me. I didn't know what it was.
Yep.
That's on the spiritual side. On the business side, I read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yes.
Yep.
And that changed my entrepreneurial mindset.
I've told this to a bunch of people, and I don't preach it. I beg people to do this. Everybody calls me and asks for questions. There's 2 books I ask them to read, and I tell them, there's 2 things I need you to do. And I was like, I need you, if you're thinking about doing anything, I want you to read Rich Dad Poor Dad, because I want you to learn the mindset of how that money operates and the way you need to think about it. I said, I want you to read Titus 10, which is a deep dive into the book of Titus in the Bible, that is basically a roadmap to being a godly man.
Mm-hmm.
Those 2, you take those 2 as your foundation, and the sky's the limit.
Yeah.
You take those 2 as your foundation, and I don't know how many of the people I've told to read them have actually done it, but that's the first thing that I always tell people when they're
That's
asking. You're about to do Titus 10
Yeah.
with me. Him and maybe a few of his buddies are going to go through Titus 10 with me
Awesome, man. That's
again.
good.
So we're going to do that one. He's read Rich Dad Poor Dad, but I was like, hey, you need to refresh with it. So,
Yeah, I do. I need to.
I read that book twice.
We
Yeah.
bought the game.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Like,
a lot
it
of
is
fun.
Yeah.
It is fun if you've ever never played.
That book changed your mindset.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And it's so much fun. Even the controversy, because he got really big when he made the statement that your personal house is a liability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Which
yeah.
I agree, but also there's a lot yes and no. It's not a. He just got so much attention for that because even his statement, there's a lot of yes and a lot of no. Because if you say your personal house is a liability because of this or this or this, yeah, you're right. But also it also can be an asset.
Yeah.
If you buy the right time, at the right place, and there are guys right now that bought a house 50 years ago in Frisco for $20,000, and now they're selling for $1.5 million. So it was an asset, right? So you can't really.
And I think it depends on your class, not necessarily middle class, upper class.
Yes.
But like for me, it does not matter. Like my situation, like family land and all that stuff, when we build our house, it does not matter what it's worth. It's never going to be sold.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So it's always going to be a liability for me to pay
Exactly.
for it. So like I think every situation is different.
Yes.
But I do agree with this statement in most cases, like you said.
Yeah.
But the same thing with Dave Ramsey. Like I don't agree with Dave Ramsey's.
I don't follow that thinking though. I think it's the biggest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan. I do see how in certain circumstances that mindset may work for the average person, but I don't think it works for business people.
Dave Ramsey
No
is
way.
good for people that are broke.
Yeah.
And people with bad habits, he's great.
Yes.
And that's
Yeah.
it. If you're looking to grow as an entrepreneur, you
Yeah.
will not be listening to Dave Ramsey.
Yeah, 100% agree with you on that. But what I'm getting at is that though is there's so many different opinions out
Grant
there.
Cardone.
I'm not a Grant Cardone
So,
fan.
Grant Cardone, the hustle, great. But everybody has different priorities. You're not going to tell me that it's sexy and good that you're on your office on Christmas Day and not be with your family.
Right.
And you're not going to sell that to me that that's success.
Yeah.
And that's what he preaches. You got to work 15, 16,
Yeah.
18 hours a day. It is what it is. Your family, I disagree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a Grant Cardone
There's
fan.
got to be a balance.
Yep.
And again, time is here and money's here.
Yeah.
So this is more
Well,
valuable.
you can always get more money. You can't get any
And
more
never
time.
gets.
Well, which is the point in working, is you're working to make a living, right, to pay your bills, which is most cases. As an entrepreneur, you're at a point of like not just to pay your bills, but to have the freedom to spend the time with what matters, with your family, with your church, with your friends, whatever it is. That's the whole point of me needing an income.
Yeah.
You know, is for me to be able to support the lifestyle. When I say lifestyle, I'm not talking about a nice truck, nice house. I'm talking about, hey, I want to go fishing with my son today. He's off on Fridays from school. There's no reason I have to go to the office. I can go take my son fishing. You know what I mean? And having the freedom to do that is what is 100% what I do this for.
100%.
You know, like you said, I don't remember if it was in the outtakes or not, but you're like, you hadn't really had to miss a doctor's appointment for your kids. You haven't had to miss anything. The only time you miss is because you got 3 kids and you have to choose which one you're going to, and you're Courtney divide. But it's never been like, well, I have to miss this.
Same. Yeah.
You know, it's
Never have.
My boss
You know.
won't let me off.
Yeah.
You know, I can't
Yeah.
take off. You know,
yeah,
and I'm blessed in that aspect, and it does make a huge difference to me in my kids' lives because I'm there,
yeah,
and that's why I do this. That's why it's important to me to be there. You know, I haven't always had people there for me, and so I know what that feels like. And that was my main goal as a parent, was for my kids to not look back and say, man, I wish Dad was around more.
Yeah.
And no money in the world is worth me having regrets as a parent.
yeah,
On did I give them enough of my time?
yeah.
And
Right.
Sure.
I think we all feel the same way.
100%.
And most business owners do, and that's why they're doing what they do.
Yeah,
You know, some people have, you know, more aspirations for money, which money's good because it keeps the bills paid, and you know, lets you have fun and go on vacations and stuff. But at the end of the day, it's not everything.
100%.
Which I think another aspect to that, on the other side of the coin though, is sometimes like you get phone calls at 7 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
That are phone calls you got to make and you got to do, and I think those phone calls may be 20 minutes, but is that 20 minutes you're spending freeing you up from dealing with something tomorrow where you have the whole day, you know? So like there is a balance there. There are some times where you don't get to turn your phone off. That's the other side of it, is you don't get to neglect it as a business owner, but it creates more time overall. You know, I mean, I don't have to worry about, nothing I'm doing is going to bother, like if I have a game from 7 to 8, a T-ball game that I'm coaching and doing with Jensen, like I don't even carry my phone with me to the fields. You know, you do the same. You put your phone with Courtney or in the bag when you're coaching, you know. Nothing is going to, that hour isn't going to lose me so much time or money or anything that's going to affect anything. So being able to check out.
Yeah.
But then the times where you're sitting on your butt watching TV and you're relaxing, you're not doing nothing, you get that phone call that you don't want to take. We just talked about answer your phone, Brandon.
Answer your phone.
You know. So like there's gives and takes, and there's times and places for those things. You know, I stayed up when we were running into issues with that bathroom. You know, I have this software it's similar to AutoCAD, but basically just taught myself how to do it on YouTube and to draw up, like to scale where stuff's going, so we can have a visualization to talk through with JT. I sent you and JT and David and all y'all drawings at like 2 a.m. because like I was busy for most of the day, did stuff with my kid, and like I could not sleep because like this is a problem that has to be solved. JT needs answers by tomorrow morning, and it's like sometimes you have to do that, you know. So like there's parts of it where you don't have the choice to say, oh, future Dalton can deal with this. Sometimes you have those late nights, but you do that because you want to be able to have the freedom to do what you want.
That's good.
Yeah, and I think that goes along with Rich Dad Poor Dad and talking about the different types of being a business owner. Like with the cell phone repair, without employees, you're really not.
It's a job.
You're self-employed, but it's a job. But the Christmas light business, that's a job. I do own it, but I'm a worker to that business. I'm not just a business owner. I have to work it.
Yeah.
And you know, with the flips, you know, you more than me have.
Don't say you don't have to work it.
Had to take the role on to do more of that side of it than I had. So, you know, hopefully, Pablo's probably there a little farther along than we are. But as time goes on, I like to push myself more into an investor role than an owner. You know, self-employed business owner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I would say something about that part. It's the goal. Okay, Robert Kiyosaki said the goal is be an investor, of course.
Right.
When he explained it, of course. But there's also another part. you might want to spend your day-to-day, because remember, you might have an operation where you do 3 or 4 flips a year, make great money if you buy it right, have different things, but for some people, that's probably what they want to do. Some people actually want to go on the sides.
Yep.
I enjoy going. I don't
do
go
too.
as much as I have to, and when I go, it's because I want to.
Yeah.
But that's the difference. I love doing that.
Yeah.
So people say, well, if I was follow the rules, I have to stay in my office and do other things. I don't want to,
No.
because I like. It's not that I have to be hands-on because I don't trust my guys. I actually do, and then we have a really good crew that work for us. But you also have to make it the experience. Do you love what you do every day?
Yeah.
Like for me, I'm talking to you guys right here. An hour ago, I was talking to the guys on the flip, and from here I got to go take a look at another job. I enjoy that.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to scale it to the point where you don't go to the job sites, it's easy. You just find someone to replace you,
Yeah.
and that's it. It's really not that hard, but also remember, enjoy what you do.
Yeah.
For me, I don't have the desire to scale to 60 to 70 flips a year. I don't want to do that. Why not? Because my priority is to spend time with family, and the thing that I love the most is traveling. So I want to travel a lot, and the amount of volume that I do with the amount of rentals that I have is perfect. I don't have to double what I have.
Yeah.
It doesn't equal happiness. I'm already happy.
Yeah. No, and I think there's 2 things with that. Is one is scalability. Okay, we'll use our seasoning for an example. And I'll dumb it down so everybody that doesn't know anything about like cost versus your gross and net, but just essentially, I had this conversation the other day with David actually. Is let's say right now we sell something for $10, and we're currently making $2 on that. It costs us $8 to make it because of the volume we're doing. If we increase the volume and we're selling more, we're buying the cost goes down. So that means we can make $4 on every $10 sale. Well, the goal is to scale the volume to make $6 on every $10 sale, and then delegate that sale to a third party that brings it back down to $4. We want to scale it to a point to delegate, and like you said, hire the you.
Yes.
Because you're going to make less money on it, but if your volume is going up, you're still winning, and it's creating an environment where multiple people are winning. Yes, you may have to outsource. Yes, you're going to that third party, but you're going to still get the goal was $4. Grow it to 6, cut it back to 4 by that delegation. There's more than one way to do that. That's an oversimplified way, but there's a lot of things that people think that they have to, which goes to my next point that you talked about. You go to the sites because you want to. You don't really have to. You enjoy doing it. It's a part of the passion that drives you. There's other sides of business that owners feel like they have to have their hands on everything, every job. They need to touch every job.
Yes.
They need to be at every job, which isn't the case. If it's because it's your passion, that's one thing. But if it's because you're not willing to delegate, or you're not willing to scale it, to give you the time to not have to do it, that's where I think that it's a small business mindset that doesn't let you grow. If I can make $1,000 on 10 jobs and do it myself, I would rather make $1,000 on 20 jobs and have somebody do it for me, where I have the freedom to choose, do I want to be there or do I have to be there?
100%.
That's how I think about it. And I think that's a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of people that as they're getting started, they have a hard time letting go of that delegation to step out. Because I would rather step out early at around 12 to 13 jobs, maybe make a little bit less money, but with the time that I get from that delegation, I'm going to go grow that business to that 20, to where I'm making the same. There's gives and takes with your time.
Yeah.
And that's key to me.
Yeah.
Is can we make the same amount of money by increasing the volume, but gain time because we got an employee or somebody else to do it for us. And it's hard because we went 3 months without a check to do that. You know what I mean? And that's part of it. You're going to make less money for a certain amount of time until you can increase that volume. And you have to be in the position to be able to do that.
Yeah.
but I think long term that's key.
So speaking about delegation, like with the cell phone repair, I just want to know like the difference for you, because it seems like to me with flipping and the real estate stuff, like you were very, very good about delegating and you had no fear.
Yes.
But with the cell phone repair, that fear was there.
Yes.
We didn't delegate as well as we could have,
Yes.
which
Yes.
I know that's two different industries, but
Yes.
what was, if you can say it in words, what was the difference in going to the real estate and delegate? Was it because you had to, or because you learned?
Well, first, when I started, I didn't have the money to pay someone to do it. So
Yeah.
I know what it is to flip a house by yourself. And I'm not as good, obviously, as all the people that I hired. So what I learned is, in the self-repair shop, is we couldn't really afford to make a mistake because an iPhone is $1,000.
Yeah, that was true.
So we were afraid. Now in construction, if I pay someone to do a sheetrock work, remember, I pay when the job is done.
Yeah.
So I can see the job, and if I don't like it, this is my agreement when I hire somebody. First, if you're gonna do a flip, never pay money up front. If a contractor, I don't know if that you've contracted that, but I'd never pay a dime up front. Because
No, we
two
pay
things.
done.
We
Let's
pay
say
weekly,
Let's
but-
say he's good. Well, but you pay. The job is done and then you pay.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
That's how you do
We
it.
pay weekly invoices, but it's
Yes.
invoiced for what they did that
Yes,
week.
that's
Yeah.
fine. Yeah, but if someone comes in and asks you for 20%, 30%, you will never do that. If they don't have enough money, so he's not a real good contractor. Number one, a good contractor stays busy.
Yep.
If he doesn't have if he needs money to put gas in his truck, stay away from that. So what you do is you made agreement and completion, do this part and I pay you. So in construction, you have the advantage that you get to see the result and then you pay.
Yeah.
In cell phones, if I get somebody here and that person makes a mistake, that's $1,000 mistake that you can never get back.
Yeah.
Again, what makes a cell phone repair shop so different? If I have a shop, if I'm a mechanic, and I screwed up, you come back with the same issue, I can probably blame it to something else in the vehicle and get away. Because that's, if you want to be a crook, right?
Yeah.
On the cell phone repair, if you brought your cell phone and the camera was working, and when I give to you that camera is not working, they're gonna stay here until you fix it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So flipping is really basically just plug the right places, find out who is the best sheetrock guy, find out who's the best painter, and basically build that relationship and have an agreement and say, look, man, let's do this job together. I'm just not gonna pay you front.
Yeah.
I'm not. Do this job, you get your money. And then after you do one, you got a relationship with that guy forever. And that's how I started. First I didn't have the money, so I did it myself. And it looked horrible. I flipped a house in DCAP. I was able to sell it. I'm happy.
Sorry for whoever.
Yes, I'm not going to give the address. But it didn't look good because I had to do it.
Yeah.
I'm not as good. I'm not a good painter. I did it. I'm not good sheetrock. I had to do it. I did some of the plumbing, looking at YouTube videos, for real, because I didn't have the money to do it. And after I went through that stage, where now I can pay contractors. Now I have employees. It's basically, you look at that final piece, you look at the job. Okay, now you earn your money. I'm paying you for this. So that's kind of the way it should work in construction.
So
And also, just to kind of finish that part, my biggest liability when I moved to the States, everybody was, you don't speak the language. I speak English, but broken English, right? And there's a lot of things I still don't understand. So I was always afraid that not knowing English 100% was going to hurt me. That was my biggest liability.
Mhm.
And now that's my biggest asset because I speak English and Spanish. 99% of my crew is Spanish, which I believe are the best construction workers. And they work hard. And I have access to workers or find workers like some people can't because they don't speak the language. So it turned around for me and it just worked so good.
Yeah.
Because I have access to some guys that don't speak English and they're amazing workers.
Yep.
It was funny how when we opened Mount Pleasant, we talked about that jokingly.
Mm-hmm.
How we had the demographic for you to cover and for me to cover, and we
Mhm.
really did. We played it well.
Yeah.
There was no one we couldn't talk to or relate to.
Yes.
And so I think that's why we were so successful in Mount Pleasant in the beginning, because New Boston took forever, Atlanta wasn't that good, but out the gate, Mount Pleasant was pretty successful.
Yes.
We didn't have...
Which I will say, I think our Spanish community of clientele has gone down since Paul was left.
It has.
Yeah, it
that's
is.
what I said.
Well, not that we still don't have it, because especially like me and Heath,
Yep.
even though we don't speak it, we look at it enough, so there's comfortability there, even though we can't speak it, because Heath and I understand enough to where we can get the job done, and we can explain enough to get it across.
Yeah.
And with technology,
You can't really build a rapport.
They
Yeah.
come back
Yeah.
because they know you're here.
Yeah.
I have people still talk about you.
Mhm.
They're Hispanic and here.
which with technology today, Google
Yes.
Translate is so much different than it used to be.
Yeah, it's good.
And like I've had full conversations by going such and such, such and
That's
such,
it.
such and such, such and such, and we just go back and forth. And like, you know, some of the older people, I've had to call you. I've called you or
Yeah.
called mom and
Yeah.
say, hey, I need 2 minutes of your time. Can you explain it? You know, because you're just not coming across well
Yes.
with the translation. But for most, you know, I would say 20 to 35-year-olds that come in here speaking Spanish only, Google Translate has been an awesome invention.
Yes.
You know, so I mean, it isn't as bad as it used to be. On like if somebody came in and you really didn't know what the issue is with the phone, you know, and you know sometimes it's simple stuff like I can't explain it, but like you know I'll get their name and number and it's like regrese mañana or whatever. You know, it's
Yeah.
just like just give me time. You know, come back tomorrow. You know, you don't have to know everything, but just to buy the time to figure out what's going on with the device, because then they're gonna know like when you tell them the price. You
Yes.
know what I mean? It's like I can fix it. It's this much. They don't like where like English to English speaking. They're going to know well what's wrong with it. What am I paying for? And I'm sure the Spanish speaking will want to, but sometimes if you can't get it across, you can at least let them know like it's gonna work and it's gonna be $40. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I mean
That's good.
you do
Yeah.
have to kind of meet in the middle there a little bit is that, which you know kind of the same thing that you were talking about is like is a liability to an extent. You know, my granddad, you know, he never wanted to be taken advantage of because he didn't speak enough English to make sure, like when it came to money or selling cattle, you know, he wanted to make sure that he understood what he was agreeing to.
Yeah.
You know, and that's difficult for some, you know, people that are semi-multilingual but not quite,
Yes,
you know,
yes.
comfortable across the board. But we'd love, but it's hard. We'd love to have a full-time Spanish-speaking, you know, employee.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, but it's hard.
It's hard.
Yeah.
Because like you said, this is a very detailed industry, so it's hard to teach them the physical side of repairs. Now, if we could afford just to have like a receptionist that spoke English, I could answer the phone, but then even teaching pricing and answering questions this is a tough industry to be in.
Yes.
And get back to the real estate, because I had a question that popped in my head. When you first started, we went to that convention, that real estate convention.
Yeah. Tony Robbins was there.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yes.
Pitbull.
Pitbull, Tony
It was
Robbins,
fun. So when we went to that, right after that,
Jerry Jones, the
Yeah,
Cowboys
Jerry
owner
Jones.
was selling too. That's
and
awesome.
you came back and you had a detailed path to where you were
Yes.
headed, and one of those was real estate, getting your
Mhm.
license. Was that worth it? And would you, if you could go back in time, would you get your real estate license?
No, I hated it. I became an agent because I needed the extra money because
Right.
you were buying my half.
Yeah.
So I told my wife I need to sell some houses because I want to get into flipping, right? But I needed extra money, so
Yeah.
I became an agent. And I personally didn't like it. I just don't like it that showing houses on Saturday with people that are not going to buy or they
Time, money. yeah.
time. It's to me. I don't want to be an agent. I did it for like 6-7 months, and I made enough money. That's when I started flipping and doing my own deals. And after that, I just basically, I didn't use my license anymore. You don't need a real estate license to do it. And now with all the regulations, everything that is happening,
Yep.
man, there is a before and after. The law, I don't know if you're familiar with what just happened with the law,
Yeah.
the lawsuit, but anyways, it's in review. It's going to pass, I think, in July, and it's going to pass. So there will be a before and after realtors. So if you're a realtor and you don't really have an entrepreneur, go find something else because you're not going to see, the industry is going to change. You're not going to see buyer's agent. You're going to see companies offering you a service, man, for 1%, I do a video, pictures, and list your house for 2%. I can have someone showing it for 3%. But it's the world of real estate is going to change, which is good for the investors, which means we're going to pay less.
Yeah.
We're not going to pay 5% to list our house. It's going to go to 2 to 3%.
And I think COVID was one of those things
Yeah.
that changed that industry, just like
Oh,
a lot
man.
of others, because that was Zillow now, and how
Yes.
we sold. Me and Courtney had our house for sale by owner and sold it by ourselves.
Yes.
And it really wasn't that hard of a process for us then, but that was when the market was booming, so nothing was really staying on the market. But
Oh, yeah. Good
COVID,
point. Good-
COVID
Yeah.
Yes,
definitely had a
yeah.
big
There was a
part in
before and
that.
after, yeah.
Well, and I think it depends on the price range of your house. I don't mean anything because I know Jake's going to see this. Jake was a fantastic agent for us on selling our house, but I don't know how much time he spent actually into it versus other houses because it was $150,000 and he's more of like a
Right.
big land guy. And like the people we sold the house to is people like I went out and got them to come show, and then their agents talked and did it, And that being said, we were asking top dollar for our house and weren't willing to negotiate. We were at where we were at because we were happy with our house, and it was like the market's booming. We'll sell it for this or we'll keep it and we made a lot of money. Going back, I wish I wouldn't have sold it. I
Same
wish I
for
would have
me
kind
when I
of
sold
bird
mine.
method. I wish I would have refinanced. I would have kept it, but you don't know what you don't know until you know it.
Well, but just for you to know that part, whatever you do from now, all the flips that you're doing now, in 3 years you're gonna regret you sold them.
yeah.
Dang, wow,
Inflation,
yeah.
the
Yeah.
cost of living. I mean, there are houses in DCAP in town that I see selling for mid 200s, 250, and that's crazy. Those houses were $60,000
Yeah.
3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So the cost of the living. I mean, when you're in real estate, Brandon Turner, the big
love
bucket
Brandon
guy, he
Turner.
always said, if you don't have to sell it, don't sell it. Now, if you're in the flipping business, you flip to
Yeah.
sell. That's fine. But if you have an opportunity and a house come across, man, like a little mobile home that you buy cheap, 20, 30K, and that thing gonna bring you $1,000 a month, why would you sell it?
Yeah.
To make what? To make $10,000?
Yeah.
Cash flow assets, keep it.
Yeah.
That's how you buy your freedom, and that's how you build wealth. I have
Yeah.
rentals that you can offer me right now 3 times what I pay for it. Why would I sell? I gotta pay capital gains, and what am I gonna do with the money?
Yeah.
I'm gonna put it in the stock market and get 7% maybe, and everything can crash. So understand that the goal in real estate is to build wealth, and the money works for you. So you need to some point buy some rentals, because flipping is a great business, but flipping is a high-paying job / business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're gonna get taxed to the max,
Yep.
and it sucks when you have to do your taxes and pay. So you gotta keep flipping, and the moment you stop the flipping business, your money stop coming in.
Yeah.
So use your money to buy assets that make you money.
And I think everybody's different. Some people are in a situation where they can go straight into that BRRRR method right off the bat. We're a little different. Our plan is 1 year we're going to get a couple flips on our belt. 1, to build the connections. 2, to learn the industry a little bit, make a little bit of capital. But like our long term is rentals. I mean that's
You can't really borrow the 6, 7, 8% now. So this
Yeah.
is the flip. This is a good time
Yeah,
to flip if
exactly.
you buy it right. Now, if later Trump comes to the office or whoever it is, and they drop commercial loans to 4%, and just refi and get you some rentals because of 4%. Oh my goodness! I mean, you're gonna cash flow.
Yeah.
But right now, you gotta learn the seasons. This is
Yeah.
the season for flipping, because the interest now, the houses might take a little bit to sell because everybody, but it's selling. I mean, you got things to sell. I mean, it's gonna happen.
because people are buying. They need
Yeah,
places to
people are buying.
live,
Yeah, people
and
are buying.
they're buying with the anticipation of like, well, I'll buy now. I'll do a long term note. I'll refinance when
Yeah.
they're doing the same thing.
People are buying.
So I mean that's kind of where we're at. We felt like everything was right for flips right now for us.
100%.
And
Yeah, that's
But
what we're
yeah,
doing.
our long-term goal is definitely rentals. I want
Yeah.
doors, just like you used to tell me, because I would talk to you every week usually, and you'd be like, yeah, if I can get 20 doors this year, and you're like, hey, I'm at 30 doors already.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, that's where I
That's
want to
it.
be now,
And you have to have both. You have to have some, not lower income, but some mobile homes that cash flow really good.
Yeah.
You got a or $500 cash flow in the door. And you can have some break ones where you cash flow $250 or $200. Obviously, the value in 3 or 4 or 5 years, it's gonna be crazy. And you get some home runs, man. People are selling. You just never know. You gotta talk to sellers, talk to people. My biggest deal, I would say, as far as equity, I was in a title company closing the deal, and there was an old man sitting right there, and I started talking to him, and I said, "Man, I buy properties. Do you know the guy? Do you have anything for sale?" I just asked him because I asked everybody, "Do you have anything for sale?" And the guy said, "That's crazy. You asked that. I do have something for sale. Do you have time to go look at it right now?" And I had a very important appointment, and I went and canceled. And said, "This guy wants to show me something. I'm gonna go." So I canceled the appointment. I said, "Man, let's get in the truck." I followed him, and I bought a mobile home park that is worth today. If I wouldn't sell it for 5 times of what I paid for it, and the cash flow every month, it's what some people here with a really good degree will make in a year. That's what I get on 14 trailers that I pay. It's crazy amount. That deal changed my life. There was other ones that I did, but one deal can change your life. If I pay that mobile home off, which I owed very little, I owe like $70,000. If I pay it off, man, I will make in a year what a professional makes with a 4 or 5 year school degree.
Yeah.
Cash flow. Is the trailers adding value every year? No. But that's beauty because I own the land.
Yeah.
I got 14 spots with local sewer and electricity and plumbing. A trailer burns down to the ground, I put another one.
Yeah.
And that's $600-700 a month. When I bought it, they were renting for $400. Now they're renting. I have people paying $700. Times 14. Do the math.
Yeah.
Cash flow. Buy some crappy trailers that make you $9,000 a month, and buy some good brick houses, and then you gotta do both.
Yeah.
Because that's what makes it, man. You can retire for that. Some people work their whole life as a teacher, which breaks my heart because they're underpaid.
Yeah.
A teacher works to their 65, 70 to get a $3,000 pension a month. You can do that with three crappy trailer homes that you buy for $10,000 a piece.
Yeah.
That's real estate. That's what it would change your life. You just gotta know the numbers. Learn how to do the numbers. Learn how to buy.
Well, it's also too like you're diversifying your portfolio. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket of flips only, or BRRRR only, or trailer parks only. You want to be in real estate as a whole. You know, you don't want to, and that's where we're at. We're starting with flips, but that's not our end goal. You know.
Yeah.
And I think, like you said, you got to start somewhere. Your start was you had to be a real estate agent.
Yes.
You had to learn that. Everybody has a different time in their life
Yes.
and different angle that they're approaching it with. But I think the big thing is just do it. You know what I mean?
Do it, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing that holds people back is their fear of something.
Yes.
You know, when you were selling out your part to Brandon before, I don't know if you know this, but he asked Colt first if he was wanting to buy it instead.
Yes.
He asked me if I was wanting to buy it. And I wanted to, but I was making really good money.
Yes.
You know, and there was fear of like, do I leave a high paying job to come do this? And we talked about it a little bit in the first podcast. I wish I would have. I wish we'd be so much farther down, you know what I mean, the road if I'd have did it 5 years ago. But,
Yeah.
But, you know, I mean, it wasn't, God had a plan. There's time and
It was a
place for
different time.
everything.
It was a different time,
You know,
yeah. Nothing wrong with that.
and you know, I'm happy that we're there now, but it's just, you know, that's just one example of like, I could have done it sooner and I didn't because of fear, you know? And that's why, like, when Brandon and I first were talking, is like, we don't ever want an idea or something that we have. Like, we don't want to jump in anything blind.
Right.
But we don't ever want an idea that we have that we talk about just be talk. If it's something that has some validity to it, let's look into it. Let's wait until the door closes before we stop. You know, with the massage chairs.
And also, when you want to be an entrepreneur, have an idea what area you want to go. Don't just start because, you know, like, what do you like? Do you like retail? Do you like food? Do you like real estate? To give you an example, you just said something that I wish I would have done it 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when is the best time to plant a tree?
Now.
5 years ago. When is the second best time? Today.
Yeah.
Dude, I got here, I married my wife in 2008. That was the second biggest real estate crisis in history in the United States. I wish I would have known what I would right now. I would have get on my phone, call people in California, and you were able to get houses for free, sub 2 or non-refinancing. People were like giving the houses away. And a lot of millionaires today are because they bought real estate for free in 2008. I wish I would have known that. Man, I learned about real estate 5 years ago. It is what it is. But once you know, it's still the easiest time, even if the prices are high, the opportunities with the technology, man, this is the best time to invest.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
I think we both bought 2008. We both bought our first house. Right?
Yeah.
Because you got that tax credit.
Yes.
Like I did.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean that was. I didn't have
I wish I
a clue
would have
about
known.
nothing.
I wish I
Yeah,
would have known.
I was just excited.
Think
to
about
have
those
my own
houses that we're
house.
talking about, $230,000 in decap in town.
Oh yeah.
What was the price in 2008? 20,000?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy to me that, like, how easy it is to buy a house as an investor, though.
Heck yeah.
Like, when you're buying for yourself,
It's tough.
they want everything but blood, But buying it as an investor, like, was so much easier than we expected. We were expecting days of paperwork and we were like, we got to prove this, we got to show this.
First time we had.
Not that there wasn't steps that had to be taken. There was stuff that had to be shown. There's stuff that we have to, they got to get it appraised. We need to make sure we're buying it. What our rehab budget is. There's stuff to be done, but it's not. I think what holds a lot of people back is they're scared of jumping into something they don't know. Well, the bank's going to tell you. You know what I mean? You go talk to a bank and you're like, hey, I want to buy this. Here's my LLC, here's my EIN, whatever. They're going to tell you what you need. You figure out how to get all that information to them once. The second time's easier. The third time's even easier.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that, like, you got to not let your lack of knowledge keep you in the way, get in front of you from doing it. Right?
Yeah.
You have to be able to say yes and then figure it out. I actually had a manager who was a B2B rep back when I was with one of the corporate companies I worked for, that she was like, when she got her first, like, high level corporate role, like, she's like talking to this person, they're saying, I need XYZ. She walks through the door and goes, I don't even know what XYZ is, but she said, yes, I'll make that happen, and then figured it out,
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something you have to do in any business, but especially when you're going to work for yourself, is sometimes you just have to say yes, and then you put in the work to figure out how. Find out the how.
Yeah, and I might be wrong. You tell me if I'm wrong, but whenever you got that apartment complex, your first buy, one of the reasons was you were like, I want this. Here's X, Y, Z, and you're like, I don't have Y. I got X.
Yep.
Okay, let me.
My
see
first
my
deal,
options.
yeah.
And then that's one of the reasons why you got out of the cell phone repair was for capital to
Yep.
pursue what you wanted.
Yep.
So that was part of your XYZ to get to where your goal was, and
My first deal was here. I found it here. We were in the middle transition, and a real estate broker came, and I fixed his cell phone, and it had a little card of his name. So I'm ready and Rich Dapper that. I'm already, like, I'm gonna be an agent. I'm we're already talking about the price that he's gonna pay me, and he comes in, and I was like, man, I want to get into real estate. Like, I don't know much. I'm looking for a deal, a flip or rental. And he's like, okay, man, I got 8 apartments in Dangerfield. The cash flow, but I got 2 people not paid. I got a victim. They need some work. They need some love. So he gave me the address. I would go over there. It's not that they need a lot of work. It was trash. It was drug. It was people selling drugs. But he gave me a number. So when I did my work, I said, man, this is a good deal. But I didn't have enough. I got some of the money that Brandon gave me. I got basically a hard money loan with credit cards to pay the down payment. So I went and talked to the bank, and I said, I'm buying this asset. This is 8 apartments. I lie about what they were bringing. I think I told Anthony they were bringing like $600 a month. There were like 3 were empty, people not paying. So sorry, Anthony. I got the deal done. I closed that deal. So overnight, I don't know anything about real estate, and overnight I got an 8-plex. I got 8 apartments in Dangerfield, and I started fixing them myself, working. I would do DirecTV and come back and hustling, trying to get my license. And
On top of you giving up your
my half of
salary
the business,
that was paying your bills, you gave that up.
I do. I tell you, I busted my tail in that place working for like 3 months, getting fixed, using Home Depot credit card, 18 months, to the point where I was able to fix it. I kicked the bad people, I kicked them out. I brought in new people, raised the rent, I refied the baby, and appraised for twice as much of what I bought it 3 months later.
Yeah.
So in 3 months, I doubled what the place was worth based on the income and the way I fixed it. And from then, man, I've jumped to another deal and another deal, and it just is it really is possible for someone with no money and almost no knowledge to get into this and build a portfolio. It's really possible.
No.
Yeah.
Well, we're excited to be started. I mean, it's a different hunger than I've experienced before, because most jobs you put in work, like, you know how much you're making from it. You don't always know the exact. Like, you run your numbers, you know what the ARV is and stuff, but you don't know. You know what I mean? So, like, you put a lot of time and effort, but don't know. So, but it's a different kind of hunger, because even though we don't know what's going to be made on our first flip, we're both like, we're ready for another one. You know what I mean? We're on the end stage of this. We're like, we're ready for another one. We really enjoyed it. It's been great with JT. We got, man, I think, like you said, time and place is a lot of it.
Yes.
Going to business with him. I mean, meeting JT was a whim type deal. You know, I went to the Home Depot, Lowe's, McCoy's, and just went up there to set up like the accounts for like the first material accounts or whatever they're called. And while I was there, if people were walking in with hats and shirts and stuff, I was talking to them, networking, getting cards. He just happened to be one of the people I met that we hit it off with. You know?
That's good.
You know, so like, it's just, I could have been there an hour earlier, or went to lunch with Dad first and then went there, you know, and not been there at the same time. So I think God has a plan for a lot of it. You know, I think overall, you know, everything that we do is, like you said, is calculated. We're not jumping into anything. We don't always agree with the advice we're given from David or from you or anything like that. We have to, we appreciate the advice, but that's one thing I'll encourage anybody that's doing it, is if you hear advice on this podcast or directly, you know us personally, you hear advice, like, it's just like anything. Like, I would say this, like, if you're reading a book like the Titus 10, and I was talking about, I don't agree with everything in that book, right? Because it essentially is a preacher and kind of his stance and stuff of the book of Titus. Well, there's a couple things that I don't agree with on it, you know, but that doesn't mean that it's a bad book, you know.
Yeah.
Like his priority is a little different than what I think God's talking about. You can have slightly different opinions, but have the same goal and rely on each other and have that community over competition too.
Yes.
You know, so that's what I encourage is do the work on your own. Rely on the people that you know. Don't be afraid to call. Like, I ain't talked to David in 7 years, you know, and maybe once or twice, you know, we run into each other, but hit him up because I knew this was something he was doing. Hadn't talked to you a whole lot last few years. Hit you up.
Yeah.
Call the people you know that are doing it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, ask their advice, hear what they're saying, see which path may fit for you, and just go do it. You know, that's what I think.
Oh yeah, yeah. And so, now we're getting close to time here, so we'll close out with just your opinion on, like he said, just what steps would you give everybody that's wanting to get into real estate, either licensing or just get into flips or rentals?
Well, I would not recommend anybody to become an agent right now.
Yeah.
Because the laws are changing.
That's
So
good.
I don't think it's a good a time to think about our career. On flipping, I mean, Dalton just said, find someone that is doing. Because the problem is, when you read a book, like Brandon Turner, great, but he was in Washington at some point where he was, so you gotta know the market you're in.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna flip in East Texas, you need to talk and learn from realtors or investors that are flipping houses in East Texas.
Yeah.
And that's how you do it. I mean, and then on the personal level, you kind of have more room to be successful in an area that you know. Because, for example, Texarkana, you know what areas you would never buy in Texarkana.
Yeah.
I don't care how good the deal is, right? Same thing for Mount Pleasant or Deacon. So yeah, know the area, talk to investors, talk to realtors, learn your numbers, buy right, buy the cheapest that you can. if your offer doesn't offend the seller, it's not low enough.
Yeah.
They need to be, okay, you're crazy. You know, if you're asking for 100, the lowest that I would go is 100. Okay, I'm gonna give you 85.
Yeah.
That's it.
All right.
No, I say the lowest is 100. Well, I'm gonna give you 85, and they just stay on that 85. You just made $15,000. That is probably where you're gonna go over your budget.
Right.
And then more events after you do one or two. It's important once you decide that this is your path. Well, your social media should show what you do for a living. People need to know that you're looking for houses because your family, your people around, they're gonna send you deals when you know that you're flipping houses.
Yep.
So marketing, build your brand. And I would say the third one is even one step when you become more advanced. There's a lot of trade sites where you can find phone numbers, find distressed properties, and so know that not only by agents you buy houses.
Yeah.
The biggest deals that I done, 100% off market. I done deals with agents, but the biggest deal across the street from here, 48 apartments. I went by those apartment complex. I saw the number. I called that guy, and I said, "Man, I want to buy your apartment complex." And he said, "Well, I give him a blessing. I'm here." I said, "I'm here." I went and sit down in his office, made him an offer. We bought him. In 6 months, we're selling for a lot of money. You got to be able to call. You just call. You got to talk to people. You talk to 100 people and maybe one deal. So what do you want to do? Find a way to talk to 1,000.
Yep.
Hire some VAs. Find a system. Send blast texts or email a campaign, whatever you want to do. Market and market and market, because not every deal that comes to your table is a deal, right?
Yeah.
So you gotta have a pipeline. How you gonna, which way you go?
Yeah. I tell everybody that we know, we tell them $500. You find me a deal that's not
Yes,
listed on
yes.
MLS. So it can't be listed on. I will say this: I don't let it be listed on MLS. If it's on
100%.
if it's on MLS, we already know about it.
Yes.
But if it's an unlisted deal, and I buy it, I'm going to pay you $500 for bringing it, just for the phone number.
Yeah.
So
You're not gonna pay for the phone number. You're gonna pay if you put in the contract.
yes, that's what I'm saying. If you give me a phone number, I
Okay.
call that person and I buy it. It wasn't listed on MLS, and I bought that deal. Once the contract and it's closed, I pay you $500.
I'll pay 1,000 by the way.
No,
So you just call
I
me.
pay 1,010. Yeah.
So yeah, that's good.
But I mean, but I tell that to all my friends. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Anybody, friends, family, people I interact with. It's just a way to do it. It's a bird dog.
Yes.
I mean, but I think that you have to be willing to talk about it everywhere you go.
100%.
If you meet a stranger at the bowling alley, you're taking your kids, and they talking to you for a few minutes, I always let them know what I do. And sometimes I feel like, man, am I sound like I'm bragging or like I'm trying to toot my own horn? And you feel that way sometimes, but the purpose behind it is to not do that. It's because you never know, like you said, you're talking to some random guy and he sells you a trailer park.
Yeah.
You don't know what they have.
Then you never know. And you're not bragging. That's what you do. You buy houses.
Yeah.
You're not saying that you're buying in with your own money.
Yeah.
You use the bank. Doesn't matter. You buy houses. What do you have for sale?
Yeah.
Let's make an offer. Call my banker. I can perform. Let's put in the contract. But you're not bragging. That's what you do for a living.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, but I will say on the other side of that, I do have friends that, not resentment, but they're just like, man, you met me at 19, you know? So, I have friends that are just like, no, I wouldn't have seen this. You know what I mean? So it's just different, or they're just like trying to flex on us now, or whatever. And it's just like, it's like, no, I'm literally like, we just talked 20 minutes about how you're doing your job. My job's just different, So, and like I said, it's not like they're butthurt about anything, but, from the outside looking in, when I was working for you guys, I remember thinking the same thing. It's like, I don't want to do that. I want to be self-employed, and it's even at a small scale. And in all honesty, the thing was, at the end of the day, when we were looking into doing different things, if none of it would have worked, we would have kept trying on other things. But even if none of it would have worked, I would have found a way to just, we live our life on what we make from this business, because that's better for me than making, 120 a year at a job I hate, If there's a certain level of money that isn't that like I'll find a way to live on. Like if I only made $60,000 a year, but I had the time,
Yeah.
I'm there for my family. My bills can be paid. I'm not stressing when it's time to get an oil change. Because there's times in your life where you're like, I remember
the gas tank. Like,
Yeah.
ooh, that's a big deal. When you
Yeah.
swipe it and fill it up.
Yeah, and then like I remember like I hated like only putting $20 in my gas tank. And there's little things like that once you change, you don't think about them as much.
Yeah.
But it is like I can fill my truck up when I need more gas. I can pay my oil change, but I don't make as much as the next guy. But I'm happy. Like that's more important to me.
Mm-hmm.
We want to scale, we want to grow it, but I want to be comfortable with not having to go to work.
Yeah,
That's good.
And that's awesome. But I know we all have our own goals, and whatever your goals are,
Yeah.
make sure you don't quit. Do it. Get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Love it.
I would like to say thank you for Pablo for being here, man. It was
Thank you for having me.
what a triangle of connection here for all
Many
three
years,
of us
man.
to
A lot of
be
years, bro.
Yeah.
on a
Yeah.
podcast talking.
Yeah, you don't know how many hugs and head bumps have happened between
Yeah.
this little triangle
and
right
I,
here.
And I will say this, for me, I'm very proud of you guys, very happy, and I really sincerely, whatever I can do to help, for real.
Yeah.
Because I know if I need your help, you're going to do it too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
For sure.
so I don't sit right here like, I want to teach you guys. No, I feel like you guys are in a really good path. You know a lot, and you're going to kill it flipping houses, and I'm very happy for you guys.
Thank you.
Very happy.
Yeah.
Same for you. You're
Yeah.
already killing it.
Well, thank
Proud of you. Like I said, we're all gonna win.
you. Yes.
And I can't wait to watch it keep growing and for
Yes.
all of us to keep, being successful in all we do.
Awesome.
But
Thank you guys.
You guys tune in for next episode. Thanks again for Pablo for being here. Love you guys. Y'all have a good one.
All right, take it easy, guys.